Then Skrillex got involved.
Bob, let's just get into the juicy stuff.
I feel so lucky to be able to do this.
Well, what a show to have him come out for us.
Is this where you're going to announce that Taylor Swift is coming next year?
I kind of took a leap of faith. It's really remarkable how it's worked out.
Boom Loop San Francisco. The pulse of the town, from movers and shakers, breaking new ground. Hosted by the Lurie Group, rooted in true San Francisco's future, coming straight to you.
Welcome back to another episode of Boom Loop San Francisco. I'm Alexander Lurie. This is Baxter Smith, my partner. We're real estate agents, and we like to highlight the people who are changing the face of San Francisco and who are maintaining incredible traditions. We're here in conversation with Bob Fiedler, who is the executive director of none other than the Stern Grove Festival, which is so exciting to have him here. He's in his 9th season, but this is the 88th season. This treasure has been operating in our city. So we're excited to dive in. Let's do this.
So many questions.
Alexander, Baxter, thank you so much for having me. It's a delight to be here. This is my favorite subject to talk about.
Bob, welcome, by the way.
Thank you. Delighted to be here.
So, we're just so fired up. First of all, man, you're the executive director of Stern Grove Music Festival. But when you showed up with a collared shirt on, looking, ready for the boardroom, I was a little like, is this the right guy? So is this how you show up at the festivals? Like, what's the attire requirement
Superman,
for your job?
You go into a phone booth?
I have to be a chameleon, Alexander. We specifically try to program a different style or genre of music every week, and so it's totally show dependent.
Okay.
And so some weeks I'm wearing a sport coat, some weeks I'm wearing a bucket hat, and it also depends who I'm meeting with. If I'm going to have a rock and roll meeting, I've had meetings where we've done activities that years ago would have been considered illegal, and other times I'm wearing a suit and tie because I'm making a pitch to a venture capitalist asking them to give us a big pile of money.
Okay, well, maybe we'll talk about some of the illicit activities later. But let me give a formal intro. So, Bob, you've been the executive director of Stern Grove Music Festival, which is the longest running nonprofit music festival in this country, I believe, right? Is it since 1938? Mm-hmm. So that's a lot of time. We're closing in on a century. You've been the ED now for 8 years, right? In 2017.
This is my 9th season.
This is your 9th season.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you
you're
came
still alive. Congratulations.
Yes, you're still going. You're keeping it going. You were born and raised in Pittsburgh, mm-hmm. and then New York, Chicago, town I love, right? I was at school out there at Northwestern, and then I lived out there for 8 years. We were talking on the phone. I had my 847 number, my 312 number. You still have your 773. I won't give the rest of your phone number because you don't want to. But you've kept that 773.
Indeed.
Because it's close to your heart.
Yep.
Why is it so close to your heart? What's so great about Chicago?
I loved Chicago. It's a world-class city,
yeah.
And I had an amazing time there. I ran a number of different music and arts nonprofits while I was there, so it's near and dear to my heart, and I don't miss the weather, but happy to be here. This is paradise.
This is great. All right, so you sort of gave us a little teaser, but how did you find your way to Stern Grove Music Festival? How did that opportunity come to you? How did you come to it? What got you here?
Love. So, as I said, I was in Chicago for a good long while, and I always had ideas that maybe I wanted to migrate out here because 2 of my best friends in the world live here, and I would come all the time to visit. And I actually was starting to get some momentum and ideas that I wanted to move out here. I came out for a music festival. It was one of those weekend camping deals.
Oh, yeah.
Friends of
it's
a friend.
Reggae by the River or something?
It was called Symbiosis.
Uh-huh.
And,
which year was it?
2016. And so it's an EDM tinged festival.
All right.
I might have been at that.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Where was that? Up north?
Was that in
it was
Lake?
inland somewhere. No,
that was the Pyramid Lake.
I think near Yosemite somewhere.
Cool.
Yeah, it was inland somewhere.
That's awesome.
I don't think it repeats there. They moved it up to Oregon for a while, and I'm not sure if it happens anymore. But regardless, it was one of those deals that there were 17 of us camping, and my friend who lived out here organized it, and he happened to be friends with this woman who was there. As soon as she came in, she caught my eye, And I was like, I have all weekend to work on this. And one evening on the dance floor, I sidled up to her, and the rest is history. So we started dating long distance, and she had young kids at the time and wasn't going to move to Chicago, and I already had energies towards moving out here. I said, I'll meet you out in the Bay Area, and I'm so happy to be here. And I kind of took a leap of faith. It's really remarkable how it's worked out. I said, okay, I'll come move there, and I will, A, start looking for a job, and B, put my condo that I had in Chicago on the market. Whatever happens first is what will trigger my move. Well, I didn't expect that my condo was going to sell in like 4 days. Wow. And I suddenly had to be out, and I didn't have a job. And I was like, okay, I'm going to move to the most expensive area, or one of the most expensive areas in the world, as a middle-aged dude without a job. But just trusting in the universe that I had a lot of good music and nonprofit experience, and trusting that it would work out. And then I started just doing some networking coffees, and someone told me about Stern Grove Festival. I almost didn't pay attention to it at the moment because I wasn't from here. I thought it was some little after-work classical music thing in the park or something, and I was like, no, I'm aiming bigger than that. Yeah. And I didn't follow up. And my friend contacted me and said, did you pursue that Stern Grove thing? And I said, no, I don't think it's for me. And they were like, you idiot. It's a really special and amazing thing, and you would be perfect for it, and it would be perfect for you. Yeah, and they just happened to be doing a national search for their next executive director. Had been doing it for a while, so I came in at the tail end, kind of had to do what I felt like was like the NCAA March Madness. There were tons of candidates, and then I kept surviving. Lo and behold, I get this job. So
we got a nice 3-point shot.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
So it's nice that the universe kept knocking on you. Your friend
for love without a job, and I end up with my dream job.
Yeah.
So, well, in kindred souls, Bob and I were talking before about I was living in LA, went to a reggae festival, happened to camp next to this beautiful woman. We kept talking, never stopped. Here I am. I was in LA. She was in San Francisco, long distance for a while. And here I am with three kids.
3 beautiful kids.
5th generation San Francisco.
Right, Bob, let's just get into the juicy stuff, man. Yeah. Like, you've seen a lot of good, bad, ugly. I mean, today we're going to reveal the behind the scenes, right? Because those of us who have been to Stern Grove or heard of Stern Grove know how magic it is. It's something you've called a cathedral under redwoods, or how did I get this right?
Natural cathedral, a church.
It's unbelievable.
Yes, all of the above. Yeah.
It's almost like it's a venue in the forest. I mean, it's so gorgeous, and it's world-class talent. I mean, I think your budget is $10 million a year, roughly.
It's a little less than that, but yeah.
Let's round up to big numbers, but it's a little less.
Yeah.
But it's substantial, and it rivals music festivals.
Yeah.
That people pay hundreds of dollars for.
Totally.
Right. And so you've seen some crazy stuff. So, and I want to dig into some of that. So, like, what is like a show that like almost never happened? What's like the untold story about something that was just like, oh my God, we have 10,000 people showing up in something just like existential just happened.
The show must go on, but it may not go on.
So crazy things happen every year, but my welcome to Stern Grove happened right out of the gates. So I take this job, I'm the new executive director, and almost immediately, and the season's not too far in front of us, almost immediately, they tell me, you have a situation to deal with. And I said, what? Apparently, there was a miscommunication with our opening act, which that year was Kool and the Gang. And our camp and their camp kind of got their signals crossed, and it turned out that they were doing a show on Saturday night in a small town in the Netherlands the night before our daytime show. They're not even near a major airport. They're in a small city.
Difference.
Totally.
Yeah,
so they have to do their show. Even to get to the airport in Europe was a 45-minute trip. Then fly to San Francisco and come and do our show, we do sound checks at like 10 o'clock in the morning. So clearly it's questionable, forget sound check, it's questionable that they're even going to make a 2 p.m. start time. So I was like, okay, I'm the new guy, Stern Grove community, who do we know that can help us? And like the community does, people rose up. We were able to leverage contacts that we had at the San Francisco airport who said, as soon as they arrive, we'll expedite them directly. They can bypass customs. We'll put them right on a police caravan, which we arranged for a police caravan, sirens and everything, to take them directly from the airport right to Stern Grove Festival. And if everything went to plan, they were due to hit like 15 minutes before they're due to perform.
Without a sound check?
Well, without them sound checking, which again, artists are really particular and fussy about that. So like we had a razor thin margin and arranged all that. And we said, look, we can basically do your sound check for you, simulating all of your instruments on stage, and you're just going to have to trust all the levels and all of the things.
And that's not a small feat with a group like that.
It's a big band with lots of...
Right.
Yes.
And you have 10,000 guests. 10,000
people, and at the time... it was our biggest fundraising event of the year. So not only is it 10,000 guests, but we have people that have paid thousands of dollars to be at our premium donor tables expecting a show.
Right.
So this is my first show.
This is your first show ever.
First show ever. Welcome to Stern Grove Festival.
Trial by fire.
So the bottom line is it worked. They were expedited through customs. Their plane was on time. They landed, get through customs, hit the police escort, cavalcade, bring them right on. We have a whole system for once they hit. How do we get them from backstage on the stage? Miraculous.
That's amazing.
Miraculous. I mean, we had like backup artists ready to perform.
Really?
It was a whole thing.
What time did they end up going on?
They hit the stage when they were supposed to go on, basically.
1 o'clock, probably.
Yeah.
But so how do you get a backup artist? I mean, and do you have to pay the backup artist even if they don't go on? Like, how does the logistics...
It's situational. We've had other situations where an headlining act has canceled the night before the show, and we've had to, scramble, and we're making calls at 2 o'clock in the morning trying to find a new headliner. So
you're calling the booking agent in that case?
And friends in the industry, who's in town, who's close by, who's willing to do it. The music community here is pretty supportive of Stern Grove Festival, even though a lot of them are in some pretty serious competition with each other.
Right.
We're a little bit like Switzerland, and we kind of coexist peacefully, and people generally help us for the most part, which is really nice.
Is that because you're a nonprofit versus a for-profit venue?
Yes. I mean, it's still, the short answer is yes, and I think people really believe in what our mission is and what we're doing for the community. Yeah. And I think that they feel that even in some small way, even if it means sometimes waiving a radius clause or helping us out a little bit,
that's nice.
That they're doing a small piece to just add to the community, really.
That's great.
Yeah. We've had shows where the tractor trailer of the band's instruments got stuck and didn't make it in time, and we had to scramble and replace all their instruments with no notice they could do their show.
So do you have inventory of instruments for as backup for situations
we have
like
vendors that we work with that are on call, basically, to help us. So yeah, out of the gates, it was welcome to the wild and woolly world of live music production.
Just, smooth from there. Yeah. But so it's like, is this just the nature of performance and music festivals, that the issues that any, like in outside lands in Golden Gate Park, is it the same type of situation where they have those vendors in case the instruments don't make it, or they've got the backup in case the headline cancels? I mean, are you essentially just like your own version of a big festival, and they have those same redundancies you have?
Unquestionably. Yeah. I mean, certainly we're a nonprofit organization, but we had 109,000 people come out to Stern Grove last year, so we do a bunch of mass gatherings and pretty big productions. And so, what another corporate venue or corporate festival goes through, it's all the same. The difference is ours is spread out over the summer, and in a lot of cases, a festival like Outside Lands, it's all condensed within a weekend, and so it's concentrated. But even for them, I know all of the producers in town. If they're doing a 3-day festival, they learn from what happened on Friday so that by Sunday they've tweaked the dials and made it a little better.
And your performances are Sunday.
Yes. We have a little bit more of an advantage that we kind of have the whole summer to keep tweaking it to the point where, like, by the final show, we finally have it all dialed in, and it's ready to go. So
give us like a behind the scenes look. Like, what kind of preparation goes in the summer? How far in advance are you booking? Are you putting out like RFPs? Like, how? Just walk us through from like the season ends when? End of August? And then you have and then you start in, is it June, I guess? So you basically have those 9-ish months, but maybe even you start before the season ends for the new season. Like, walk us through what that looks like. And
we're working more than a year in advance. We're working on about a 15-month timeline. We already have 4 or 5 offers out to artists for the 2026 season already, because it's the way artists make their money now. It used to be back in the day, you toured to support your record, and the way you made money was a record.
Right.
All that's out the window, and so touring and playing concerts is how they make their livelihood. And there are so many different festivals and venues and a lot of competition out there that people just keep booking earlier and earlier.
How far out of the big acts? How far out are they booking these days?
A year, 1 year probably. People are starting to make their plans and get it dialed in and think about the future. So again, we've been talking about 2026 artists already for a few months, starting to get our dream wish list of our first priorities. And the way that sort of works is we have a director of programming, and we have a little committee and a process that we basically dream up who are our wished for artists in the coming year. And we actually sort of start with genres, because what we're really trying to accomplish is to be as broadly appealing as possible.
But do you intentionally, sorry to interrupt, do you intentionally have people, different viewpoints represented in that group? Not just, hey, we should look at different genres, but people that are coming from, we love this, we love that.
Totally. I mean, ranging to, I take input from my Gen Z stepdaughters and say, hey, who do your friends want to see? Because that's an important demographic for us.
Is this where you're going to announce that Taylor Swift is coming next year?
I wish.
Right.
Billy, she's not.
And so, yes, we try to program a slightly different style or genre of music every single week throughout the summer. Our hope is that someone gets the calendar and at least one show appeals to them, no matter what your background is. And the best shows are ones that are broadly appealing, because I love music's ability to bridge cultural gaps and generational gaps and bring people together. It's something that really unifies us, and I love that. But we make a list of, we think these are the genres and the styles we want to hit. We make 5 or 10 dream artists that we think we can afford within those genres, and then we just start doing the Jenga puzzle pieces. And it takes a long time, even though it's only 11 shows, figuring out who's on tour, who might be able to come through. If they're not on tour, are they willing to do a one-off? Are we in competition with the Greek Theater or the Bill Graham or the Fox or Outside Lands?
How many people are on that initial list? Like, what is the whittle down process of that dream list to your
we probably discuss about 50 or 60 artists to start to get to the final headlining 11.
Yeah.
And again, it's that's really the fun part, and it's really exciting to talk about. And there can sometimes be passionate disagreement or whatever. And it is truly an art and a science. There are metrics and formulas we use, and we have our little forecasting model that we've developed that it's like, okay, this artist has this many streams and this many followers on socials, and this is where they last played and how big the venue was, so their ticket sale information. But then it can just be who's having a moment. Who released a new album, who did a collaboration with somebody, all of that stuff. So
cool.
So and then, I mean, part of the Jenga is the budget, right? Because it's a negotiation process, I'd imagine. Do you say, hey, can you come here? And then are you the first one to say, we'll pay you this? Or what does that negotiation look like with the artists? Because you have a finite budget and you have 11 acts. And let's say your budget is, I don't know. What's your rough musical budget? 7?
So we're paying every artist, every headliner 6 figures, and some higher 6 figures.
Yeah. And does that vary with artists? To some say, oh, nonprofit Stern Grove, great, I'll do X.
Wait, let me answer the question. Sadly, no.
Well, now
Bob,
that
your
it's
answer?
so weighted on touring, I'm
Baxter,
sure that's changed.
I wish that were the case, and that's aspirational for us. We really would like to become well known enough in the music industry with headlining acts that artists and bands occasionally would say, you know what, this is special, it's unique, you're a nonprofit, I love what your mission is, I'm going to give you a discount or play for free. And we're not quite there yet, and so instead we're paying pretty much top dollar for that artist or band to give a free show for their fans. And so, again, our budget has increased in recent years, and we've been able to sort of move up in weight class a little bit in terms of the headliners we're able to afford. And that sometimes puts us in the crosshairs or in direct competition with some of the other producers in town, because it's like, and a lot of times you're dealing with the agents for the most part of those acts, and it's like, well, why should we play Stern Grove Festival when we can make $50,000 more playing the Greek Theater or something? And so it's a negotiation. A lot of times we are able to tell a story. Other times it's simply, okay, an act has played in San Francisco a few times and they've already hit a couple of those other arenas, so they're willing to try something else. So it's why it takes a year. You would think just programming 11 shows. I have friends that work at other venues that are programming all year long, like, Freight and Salvage has to do 250 shows a year, and their booker is like, what do you mean it's hard to only do 11 shows? Also, another thing is we're Sunday, and we're a very specific date. A lot of other venues have more flexibility to book an artist at a different time.
How did you pick Sunday?
Tradition. I used
church, going back to the Redwood
no,
Church.
Actually, this started in 1938, and
which is ironic because one of the main benefactors was Jewish, yet it's on a Sunday, right? Or maybe it's actually to not be in violation of the Sabbath. I mean, I don't know what the real reason is, but
I don't know all of the exact specifics, but certainly I think the idea was to come out and have an amazing picnic in the park. And for most of our history, we were a performing arts center, basically. And so the acts were dance, fine classical arts, theater even. And so I think that the vibe a little bit more was lay out a picnic blanket and have a little wine and watch a nice performance in the background. And I mean, Stern Grove Festival has always been amazing. I like to say that we're standing on the shoulders of giants. I'm just the latest little blip in the story and the latest steward. But I think that what we've been trying to do, especially with our new board chair, Matthew Goldman, and his twin brother Jason Goldman, who are part of the lineage of the family that started this thing, we're really want people to come to the shows and dance and have energy. And if they're not dancing, at least it's an energetic performance. Or if it's the symphony, it's a extraordinary performance. We want people to leave and go, wow, that was awesome.
I want to go back to like that which makes it awesome is all the behind the scenes work that your team is doing. So you finally book the talent, right? And that takes a lot of back and forth from 60 or 50 down, you whittle it down to 11. And so take us from that point forward. What goes in the planning for the season? So now you've booked the talent, which probably is I'm guessing that's like the big lift, right? Or is there a lot more that we're not thinking about?
It's everything. Certainly that's a component about it. And those are stakes in the ground that tend to get us all fired up and excited.
Yeah.
Even amongst our staff, it's like, oh my God,
do you have like a bell you ring every time you close?
We actually do have a bell that we ring in the office for different milestones of good things. Sometimes it's a big donation we just received. Great. Sometimes it's, we just closed Shaka Khan to perform that, or whatever it is. But really what's quirky about us, both as a venue and as an organization, is so the folks that started this thing, they bought this 66-acre park and said, we want to have a place where free music can happen in San Francisco. They donated it to the city and said, when we're not using it, it can just be a public park for people to enjoy. But then they started the organization that I run now, Stern Grove Festival, as the nonprofit to program and put on the festival season. We're also the one that pays the money to build the venue and landscape it and upgrade it when necessary. So we built the stage and the dressing rooms and all of those sorts of things. But because it's a public park, we have to build the thing and tear the sucker down every week. There's no other venue that really has to do that.
You're saying that you take the sound equipment down, but the stage remains.
The stage remains, but there's so much of the infrastructure, signage and barricades and gates and things that essentially a lot of brick and mortar venues don't have to worry about. It's just sitting
different
there.
Than hardly strictly.
Which is just concentrated.
Right.
Yes.
In, out.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's like you're setting up a festival every week.
Yes,
for 11 consecutive.
Totally.
Right. Do you skip a weekend ever?
We don't.
Yeah, so it's 11 consecutive weekends.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of logistics.
And then also related, because we're a seasonal business, we basically have to, even though it keeps going for 15 weeks, there is kind of the engine slows down a little and then you have to crank the machine back up again, in that there's only 10 of us that are full-time people that put this thing on. But during festival season, we have over 200 employees. A chunk of them return, but it's like, okay, we have to plan on hiring hundreds of people every year to run this thing. So, and we come up with new artwork every year and all working on different new improvements. So it really is a quirky and unique thing that requires constant gardening.
So tell us about like the different employees, the 200 employees, like what are the various sort of buckets of like where their focuses are? Like for instance, there's like, you go to the festival, there's security, somebody checking your ticket.
Yeah.
Are they included in the employee count?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And of course, we do have dozens and maybe hundreds of other vendors and hundreds of volunteers that help make the soup. And so I'm fond of saying that everyone plays a role and it's all important. That whether you are someone that is parking cars or working in the house or you're part of the stage crew, everyone has to be on their game to deliver a great experience. And especially if you're interfacing with the public, I really try to cultivate a sort of a mindset of we're in the hospitality business and entertainment business, and we're people pleasers, and we want people to have an amazing experience at Stern Grove Festival. So it's, of course, the act that's on stage, but it's even the interactions with the person who scans your ticket or searches your bag. if they are friendly and welcoming, it changes the whole deal, and it adds to the whole experience for everybody. And I think we do a pretty good job of that, because what's super cool about Stern Grove Festival is I think most of the folks that work there are truly bought into the mission. Even the seasonal staff, that certainly we all have to work to make a living, but that they get to be part of this thing. I think a lot of us feel like we're part of something that's bigger than all of us and is amazing, and are happy to serve it. So people mostly show up with a smile on their face and a good attitude.
So what's the mission, and how has the mission changed, if at all, over time? And I mean, you talked about you're on the shoulders of giants, and you've been here for your 9th season now, and this has been happening since 1938.
This is our 88th season.
But it started maybe more with like performance arts and some other things, and certainly musical inclinations have changed over time, right? Like we have different types of acts today than we would have certainly than 50, 75 years ago.
Totally.
Has the mission changed? Do you see it evolving? What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, I wanted to comment before when I found out we were going to be talking to you, I went and looked at the history that you have on the website, and it's amazing how, looking back at not only what you're talking about how times change and music is reflective of the time, but also how the acts have steadily, you just see the name start increasing, and it's amazing where you guys are now, and seeing that trajectory is pretty impressive.
Yeah. What I will say is the mission has not changed, and we hope that it never does change. It's a simple mission to give free live music to the people of the Bay Area and beyond. And this is the 4th nonprofit that I've been the executive director of, and many in the nonprofit world are challenged with having to explain their societal return on an investment, and having to do that a lot of times with big fancy metrics. And because of engaging with this nonprofit, you make the world better in this way. Certainly we have that, but I think what's cool about Stern Grove Festival is I think people kind of inherently understand the value of
the joy metric.
Yes, of free live music. That, I mean, I can get pretty far out there on this mission. I mean, I'm here super intentionally because it's my dream job, and I believe in live music's ability and import in individuals' lives and in the community's life.
When you made a social justice comment, I read an interview of yours a while back, and that intrigued me. I'm sure that's part of that personal mission.
Yeah, not to go off on a tangent, but I'm a degreed electrical engineer. I worked in the corporate world for about 7 years. For lack of a better term, had a very, very early midlife crisis and said, forget my degree, forget my experience. I really want to figure out what I want to do with my life. I worked with a career counselor. We decided that my passions were social justice and music. And if I could figure out a way to combine that, it would be amazing. And so I have been fortunate enough to do that for the last 20 years. I'm fond of saying that I've been giving away free music in one capacity or another for 20 years. It's why when my friend told me about this job, they're like, dude, this is for you. And so the mission has not changed at all. But interestingly, the things revolving around that and the processes and the ecosystem and society, things change quite a bit. And sometimes change is hard for people. And because sometimes we have changed the music, or we've changed the way people gain entry to Stern Grove Festival.
Like the lottery system.
Correct.
Yeah.
Change can be hard. And people sometimes, especially if you've been coming for a long time, don't always like that or appreciate it. And they're like, Bob, you're ruining it. But what I like to say is, I wish we didn't live in a world where we needed security either. It hurts my heart that we have to live in that kind of world, and that's even a consideration. But at mass gatherings now, security is unfortunately essential, and we've got a duty of care to take care of our patrons and make sure that they're safe. And then also, like, back to this lottery system, it is we've just continued to become ever more popular, and our capacity is limited. We have a big venue. It's actually, if you don't count the sports stadiums like Chase Center and the Giants ballpark and Golden Gate Park, we're actually the biggest concert venue in the city of San Francisco. Yeah. So we have a 12,000 person capacity, which is huge, but we don't have a stadium. And these days, a lot of more people want to come to Stern Grove Festival than we can actually accommodate. To wit, we just closed our final lottery for our final show. And for the final show, which is Diana Ross, we had 169,000 tickets requested.
Oh my God.
We can only accommodate 12,000 people. Over the course of this year, we've had 750,000 tickets requested to come to Stern Grove Festival, and we can accommodate basically 100,000 people over the course of the season. So when demand exceeds supply like that, you have to do something to try to make it as fair as possible. And we really racked our brain and talked with experts about what do you do when you're in a circumstance like this, and we determined that a lottery was the fairest thing to do, rather than just putting them on sale at a certain time, and then whoever is the quickest computer and internet connection and browser, gets the tickets. But also, we still want to make it as accessible as we can for the true fans. And so in addition to the lottery, before every show, the day before the show, we have pop-up. We announce the locations, community box offices, and we give out another 1,000 tickets in person for people who show up there. So if you didn't win the lottery and you are really a fan of a particular band, come on down to the community box office and you have a great chance at getting a ticket. Up to this point, through 5 shows, every single person who's come to the community box office, we've been able to give a ticket to.
No way.
So, so all of that there's massive changes. It used to be you just showed up whenever you wanted and put out a picnic blanket. And it used to be sometimes, not that long ago even, a big crowd might have been for us 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people. We're pushing on our capacity of 12 all the time now. Wow. So it's a new day, and
it echoes those acts that you're getting too. I think that it's the
all of that is to say there's tons of change always at Stern Grove Festival. Sure. The mission is the same. And we talk all the time as a staff and a board of, like, in this modern era and with all of these changes, how do we remain as true to our mission as we possibly can and serve and be for the community? And so we have those conversations, and we hope that a lot has changed, but the core thing stays the same.
Like I was thinking about that while you were talking, the beauty of it, technology is at the forefront, especially in the Bay, and it's everybody's talking about it, but there's a beauty to it. May change how people get in or the lottery, all these things, but what stays the same is it's music on stage with people listening to it. And no technology. I mean, it can change the music,
yes,
but that setup is what it is, and hopefully that stays.
There are times we even just say it's a stage in the woods and it's free.
Yeah.
Come on down, hopefully if you can. Yes,
the two ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some more Grove stories.
Yeah.
So what are some artist surprises, last minute requests where you're just like, that's
you don't have to name any names if you don't want to.
That's a head scratcher, or, let's start there. Or audience surprises, or, something that just was like, this is interesting.
Well, I'll say a few artist things. I'll say a few audience things. Artist things, especially as we have started to work with a slightly higher caliber of artists to some degree. Many of them are really cool and really down to earth and very chill.
And they're writers.
And others are not. Yes, you mentioned riders. For folks that don't know what a rider is, every contract is a negotiation, and it's like, okay, here's how much we'll pay you, but then they always have a list of demands, as it were.
Right.
And it might be lodging, travel. A lot of the funny stories are what do they need in the dressing room and such. And
can you give us
of course. And I'll say, because artists make their livelihood from touring now and from doing shows, I would say that the rock and roll heyday of the 70s of trashing hotel rooms and, ridiculously wild backstage parties is tamer now. People treat it pretty professionally, though sometimes before a show we can have lots of scents in the air coming from, the hospitality area, let's say. But
is this legal now?
Yes. But it can be funny what folks request in their riders. And sometimes it's, that we need 10 bottles of Jack Daniels or specific throat lozenges or chamomile tea. But sometimes it gets pretty wacky. We had an artist that made us change all of the light bulbs in our dressing room for a very specific kind of light, because, for the short time they were in there, they needed that kind of light, and they couldn't have whatever we had.
Sounds like that would be Jack White or something like that.
Yes. We had an artist that in their hotel room, and trust me, we were putting them up in a very fancy suite in a very expensive hotel room, but their hotel room couldn't have any mirrors in the bedroom. So, we get funky requests like that, which is fun. But then just in terms of artist stories, it's really fun to interact with a lot of them, and the personalities can be quite different. But what I will say, what amazes me is how the stage is a fountain of youth. There are, as you know, lots of artists that are continuing to perform now into their 70s, 80s.
I just saw Barrington Levy the other night, and he's got to be, as they say, and just... his voice could not be better.
Yeah. We have Diana Ross, who I believe is 81. And, Willie Nelson is 93, and he's still out there doing it. So a lot of musicians and artists don't stop. They do it until they can't do it anymore. And a lot of the popular bands and artists from the day are still out there doing it, because if you had some hits, you can still make money off of it. But so we have every year artists who are in their 70s and 80s, and it amazes me that you're kind of backstage with them, and it's like they're elderly sometimes. Yeah. The biggest example of that was we had an artist who was popular from the 60s, and a big name, and they were get off the shuttle and they're walking backstage to go to the dressing room, and they needed assistance and help to walk. And I was like, dude, are you going to make it? And in their dressing room, they were sitting there with oxygen in their nose.
Oh, wow.
And again, I'm like, are you up for this? Was worried that they weren't going to be able to make it to the stage. Dude gets out to the stage, he's doing leg kicks and stuff.
Oh, that's
like
awesome.
He's 30 years
just
old.
Adrenaline.
Yes. So I
cool.
think that it is, it's a circuit between the audience and the performer that it wouldn't work for them if there was nobody there. Mm-hmm. And it's performing in front of people is a different experience, I think, than the studio. So I feel so lucky to be able to do this. Certainly I get a lot out of it personally, but I try to bring a service mentality to it, that I'm here to serve our staff, serve our audience, serve the community. And it's just incredible to me how that comes back to fill up my heart every single week. I try to walk through the audience at least once during every performance and intentionally take in the faces and look at the smiles and people dancing. And it's extraordinary to be able to do that. And almost on a weekly basis, there's something that almost brings me to tears. I mean, last week after the show, just a few days ago, I was on the stage after the show because I do housekeeping announcements at the end and sort of ask people to make their way towards the door and here's who's playing next week and all of that. And a guy ambles up to the front of the stage and like he's on the point of, he's just full of emotion. And he just said, I want to thank you and your team. He said, my mother has terminal cancer and it's all through her body and she doesn't have much time left. And we really wanted to bring her to this show. We didn't win the lottery, but I wrote to your staff and told the story and they gave me tickets. Wow. And he said, this means so much to me and my family. I can't even tell you. Thank you.
Those are the moments that make it all, right? Yeah.
You know, there's a hell of a lot of, even though this is totally a joyful job and I wouldn't trade it for any other position, I'm here quite intentionally. There can be a lot of stress that goes into it, like not only the planning and the finances and worrying if you're fundraising enough. Did you balance the budget? Managing all the dynamics of a staff with 200 people. There's always something, even though it's a pretty supportive and joyful staff and a good culture, we bump into each other. And so there's always some situation. And then stress at the shows. When you have 10,000 people there, we've had heart attacks, we've had challenging things happen at the shows, and it can be stressful. The payoff is huge, and it's those moments that just make it so worth doing it and make me feel lucky to serve it, and why I would say this is an amazing thing for the community, and back to, this is why people should support it. And,
and I think that's a really good transition. And it's worth mentioning, this has become not just a community event, it's sort of a national event. I mean, the prominence on a national level is really, it's there, it's growing more and more. Wouldn't you agree that it's become a bit of a national icon?
That's what we hope for, and that's what so we're in our 88th season, and we have our 100th birthday in the not too distant future. We're actually starting to talk about that. What do we want to look like on our 100th birthday? And part of it is sort of wanting to, again, continue to move up, not only from just like this community, in some cases, best kept secret in San Francisco. Like, it's sweet when we make the list of like hidden San Francisco or the best, whatever. But we want to be regarded as an epic place by music lovers to see a show, and it should be a checkbox for them. And we want to be known on that level. And because almost every artist who shows up and performs walks out on the stage for sound check and are like, holy shit.
Yeah.
We didn't know this place existed. And I can't tell you how many artists have said, this is one of my favorite places that we've ever performed. They're blown away. Phil Lesh of the Grateful Dead, who had been performing for 55 years or something, after the performance told me that this is one of the top 3 places that he's ever played. Cool. He's like, this is like a Red Rocks.
Yeah.
And he said, like, I can't believe that this is here in San Francisco where the Grateful Dead is from. He said, if you would have been not a performing arts exclusive place at the time, he said, we would have made this one of our homes, and you would be world famous.
Wow.
I think that's my question. What gets you from here to there in your eyes?
Well, I think it's just continuing to put forth the highest caliber artists that we can afford. And that's really what the limitation is how much money do we have? Because, again, back in the day, you had a a lesser pile of money to be able to hire touring artists. And we've been really fortunate. We've been on a really good run in the last 7, 8, 9 years, where we've been kind of on a self-fulfilling, sustaining cycle that as our artists have gotten a little bigger, fundraising has gotten a little easier. And as fundraising gets easier, you have a little more money to pay bigger artists. And so that's been a neat trajectory for us. And I think that just continuing to do that, the word will continue to get out, and especially in the industry, people will talk. I mean, one of the reasons why we were a little bit of a secret for some is that as a nonprofit organization, we don't have the pressure of selling tickets. And so we don't have to spend very much money on advertising in the classic sense and marketing budget. Like, we hire a band, don't really have to market it, and people are going to show up and want to come. So,
well, I think it's, one of those things, like Phil was saying, and just exposure is something. And now with the proliferation of social media and people seeing that, hey, here's, so-and-so playing and look at this, I can imagine that would accelerate things as well.
And also, as society has become more diverse and society has changed, again, way back in the day, diversity in style or genre meant we had a dance show and a theater show and a Hawaiian show and a classical music show. Now, because society's so diverse, man, we want to have a hip hop show and a reggae show and still do the San Francisco Symphony. I mean, this year, perfect example, show 3, we had a punk band, and we had a mosh pit, which, as far as I know, is the second mosh pit that we've had at Stern Grove Festival. The very next week was the San Francisco Symphony. You could hear a pin drop.
Right.
So,
all right, a couple of minutes left. This is like, we could go on. We could go on. We might have to have part 2, part 3. You talked about how it's a free music festival, but it's free because of those who have given generously. But well, first, maybe you could help quantify. What is the true cost per person, right? You talked about 109,000 people last season, maybe 100,000 this season. Let's call 110. What's the costs?
It costs us about $60 per person to put on a show. And so from that way of looking at it, we're giving every person who comes in the door a $60 gift. Another way of looking at it is in the music business, we track all kinds of metrics and data, and last year in 2024, the average ticket for a North American touring artist was $127 average. And touring artists are the caliber of folks that we have on our stage. So that means, in a way of looking at it, is every person who comes, we're giving a $127 gift. Right. If a family of 4, that's $600.
You're doing things more efficiently.
Yes.
And it's really because you're not marking it up.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And so
correct.
For those, what percentage of people who go donate? I mean, of the 110,000 people, do you track that?
We certainly track our donations 6 ways to Sunday.
Yeah.
But there is also an element of folks who are there that just drop cash in a bucket.
Yeah.
That it's a significant donation that all adds up, and we're less able to track that exactly.
Sure.
But what we're trying to do basically this year is raise $25,000 from a crowd of 10,000 people each week. Yeah. So that means if everyone gave us $2 or $3, which
is like not even
a cup of coffee.
It's like 2% of what the real cost they would pay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a fraction of a cup of coffee.
I feel like you should have that up on.
Yes. Now, mind you, the reason that we are only hoping for a few bucks from the general audience members is certainly we fundraise aggressively in all different ways to support this. We raise money from individuals all year long, and that is, one of my friends sending me $50 to some of the more affluent people in town that write a bigger check.
Right.
We write grants to foundations who give nonprofits money. We have corporate sponsorships. So we're fundraising all year long so we can give this gift. And the community on site at a show is certainly a part of that. Yeah. But, you know, what I like to say is that people are there seeing their favorite band for free because someone they don't know gave a gift before this to allow them to be there. And so we hope people understand that and are willing to pay it forward.
Wow.
So the next person can see their favorite band.
That's really meaningful.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful how you put that. Sterngrove.org.
Yes.
Sterngrove.org to learn about this incredible organization, to give and hopefully give generously to this organization, to enter the lottery next year because this year's done. What else can they do?
But you can still go to a community box office to get a ticket for a show yet this year.
By the way, how early do you start queuing for that? Is that like an hour before, 2 hours? I mean, are people camping out there? Like, what are we talking about?
It depends on the demand.
Diana Ross, that might be like you show up at midnight. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I think that we have interest in the Diana Ross show, let's say.
Yeah.
When do you announce the location?
Oh, it's already announced.
It's on our website right now. So
and there's different locations.
So people can plan. Yeah. And again, we tried to do these community box offices all in different places all over the city to make it a little more convenient
I think
for
Chromium
folks.
Girl talks down at the Ferry Building, for instance.
It is,
and
exactly.
It rotates around,
Exactly. So it depends. Some of the shows, we would come and set up our little tent and booth, and there was no one in line quite yet, and we were there first. And other times, there have been people there that were there pretty early in the morning waiting for us. So
that in and of itself could be really cool to just make a little documentary about those people. And, well, a lightning round here.
Yes.
The lightning round. So if not Stern Grove, what is your other favorite venue in San Francisco and favorite venue in the Greater Bay Area?
Great question. I am a total music head. I probably see more music than pretty much anybody I know. And I'm so lucky that my personal and professional passions are so intertwined. And when I moved here, I told my wife, I want to see a show at every place in the Bay Area that has a show, even if it's a bar that holds 40 people all the way up to, the Shoreline and the Chase Center.
How's it going?
And I'm getting there.
You got a lot of ground to cover.
It's what we do a lot with our free time is go to see music. And
it's a great thing.
So it's hard to pick a favorite.
Give us some of your favorites.
Well, for an outdoor show, it's tough to beat Beyond Our Place. Mm-hmm. The Greek is a great place to see a show.
Or Mount Tam.
Or Mount Tam. I've been there. It's a great festival and a scenic, awesome thing.
Golden Gate Park.
I love the caliber of artists a lot of times at the Fox Theater.
Yep.
I hit every single festival pretty much every year. So it's a given that I'm going to go to Bottle Rock and to Outside Lands and to Portola is a great new festival.
Is a great new one.
Mount Tam. Even we hit some of the even smaller ones next weekend. We're going to head up to the Petaluma Music Festival to check out some things.
Have you been to that, the newer one, the Jazz Festival that they're doing?
The Blue Note. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I haven't been, but that sounds like an amazing festival.
Yeah. It's a great time for music for the people in the Bay Area. Not only do we have an abundance of places where you can pay to see a show, there's even a lot of amazing free things going on right now. I think the mayor and the mayor before him have really prioritized live music's ability to revitalize a city and recognize its importance. And so there's incredible things all year long and some of them for free. And so
did you go to the Skrillex?
I didn't. But interesting sidebar on that. originally that was going to be at Stern Grove Festival.
Oh,
really?
wow.
We're the ones that started it. So
Oh, wow.
our board chair, Matthew Goldman, his favorite artist is Fred Again.
Yeah.
And it is his dream to have Fred Again perform
Again.
at Stern Grove Festival. In fact, he's literally in Asia right now, following Fred Again, like in Singapore and Thailand. That's where he
Tough
is
job,
right
tough
now.
job.
Yes,
Wow,
yes,
that's
yes. So he connected with Fred Again's camp and said, hey, and we brought out the tour manager for Fred Again. We did a tour of Stern Grove Festival. They're like, we're in, we're doing this. Then Skrillex got involved, and then some of the other promoters got involved. And basically, it outgrew us, where artists of that caliber was probably going to be a little more than we could handle.
Yeah. They performed together, right? It was Fred Again and Skrillex as a duo.
Yes,
It's massive.
yeah, and also, again, there was big money to be made.
25,000
and something
people or
like
something.
that. And so, like, we started it, and
Yeah,
it
yeah.
outgrew us kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's it.
That's a good story.
That's
You had the idea.
Yes.
We heard
All right,
it
yeah,
here.
yeah.
What are some venues that are like below the radar that you'd be like, guys, don't miss this. Go check this out. We talked about some of the big venues, but how about some small ones, the dives,
a thing that I think flies under the radar is the UC Theater in Berkeley. I think they get some really interesting acts there, and some of our folks that work for Stern Grove Festival work there. I think that
I think I saw Sean Hayes there.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. We love going to the Independent. Seeing shows that aren't overly mobbed can be an enjoyable experience as an audience member. I mean, last weekend I live in Marin. We saw a show at the Sweetwater, and
a great
it was
venue.
It is a great venue.
and so
Very intimate.
So again, I drag my poor wife around to music, and she loves it because she's also, luckily, our musical tastes overlap by about 80%, which I think is an extraordinary in a marriage.
It's very good.
Especially if that's your passion.
Yeah.
So she's game for much of it, and especially in more recent years, we've really gotten into EDM music, and we like to dance and chase a bunch of DJs and do all that stuff.
Did you go to Portola?
Oh yeah, I've been to Portola every year that it's existed.
James
like
Blake
Yeah.
at Portola was unbelievable.
Yeah.
You like EDM?
I do. I mean, my musical tastes are vast, and in almost every genre of music, I can probably find a representative artist that I like.
Yeah.
But my personal sweet spots are EDM, funk. I like jam rock. Those are kind of. I'm an old man, so I still like alt indie from the 80s and 90s. So some of my favorite artists that I would personally love to have on Stern Grove Festival, and some of them we couldn't probably afford, for sure we couldn't afford, is in the jam rock area, I would love to have Tedeschi Trucks and My Morning Jacket.
I saw them? I saw them at Red Rocks. Today.
Yes, Red Rocks.
They were fun.
And then I would love to have Fish someday, but we couldn't afford that. My favorite DJ is Tony McGuinness, and he is with the group Above and Beyond. Again, probably couldn't afford that. But yeah.
Gotta dream big, though.
Totally.
And build it, they will come.
Back to the indie for a second, I have a secret hope of I'd like to have the Pixies someday. My tastes are all over the map. Yeah. But also, this is for the people. The people support it, and I'm heavily involved with the artist selection, and so certainly I have a viewpoint, but it's not for me. And it's actually pretty cool that at our own venue, it can be discovery for me.
I was just about to say, that must be amazing because you're not choosing them all. So you're like, this is great. I get the...
And there's a lot of times that certainly I will have working familiarity with an artist, but had never seen them live myself.
Yeah.
And they show up and I'm like, oh my God, that was awesome.
How cool is
Our second show this year was an artist called Channel Trace. And certainly...
He was at Portola.
Yeah.
Right?
Certainly I had familiarity, but hadn't seen him live myself. It was so much fun.
Cool.
And that's when the Grove is going off like that, and there's people from different backgrounds and ages, and everyone's just getting down. That's the stuff.
Well, my one regret, among others, the hazard of the job is we work weekends, open houses Saturdays and Sundays. So first of all, you got to win the lottery. But when we can get the tickets, it's hard because of these darn open houses, which are important. But we live vicariously through you and from all the fanfare all over the Bay Area. Like, Bob, thank you for joining us. Thank you for doing what you're doing, to your entire team. This is an icon. It is a treasure of our community and also becoming so nationally. And
Can I ask one more
question? Go fine. Do it. Yeah.
And I don't know if you can say this, but who have been your favorites over the years? Have you had ones that you're like,
at Stern Grove?
Yeah, at Stern Grove.
Definitely. And I sometimes give a pat political answer of like, it's like your children. They're all your favorites.
That's why I didn't know if
and really, what are my favorite shows are the ones that bring the most people together and are the most joyful. That said, my favorite show was we had Toots and the Maytals and Lee Fields and the Expressions.
Fields. I've seen him 3 times and in Chicago 2 of those times.
Yes, in 2019. But the reason it was my favorite is because my father from Pennsylvania was able to come finally see what I do and come to a show and experience it. And just to be able to experience something like that with your parent, it was something I'll never forget. So,
really
well, and what a show to have him come out for. That's spectacular.
Yeah. Fields, my gosh. Well, Bob, thank you. It's a real privilege. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for the interest. Thanks for what you're doing for our community. Yeah. And we look forward to seeing you at the next show.
Yeah.
The pleasure truly is mine.
Thank you.
Thank you.